We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. It is Monday morning. Glad to have you all with us. I know that you're tuning in from all over the world, and we're glad that you're here. So make sure that you check in and let us know where you are at. That would be great. Listen, I hope you had a great weekend. The weather was good in some parts of the country. Hope it was an opportunity for you to connect, be with family, friends, to connect with your partner. But listen, we're excited. We're excited because we're in a brand new series this morning. We've been told that you've been enjoying these series, so we're going to continue this. Today, we're talking about infidelity myths and facts. Infidelity myths and facts. We're going to do a 4-part series on that. And so we want you to be a part of this conversation this week, right? Typically, we're dropping all this knowledge and giving you all this information, but we need you to weigh in. What are the myths that you've heard about an affair, about infidelity, about cheating that simply are not true? We're going to take our time and unpack this, and in that, give you the truth and a foundational truth that will carry you throughout your life in terms of having a healthy relationship. Listen, before we get started, we want to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you share this with the entire community so that they can be a part of this great conversation. Also, it is July in just a few days, and as you know, we have our Audacity of Marriage live event. You do not want to miss it. It's on the 15th through the 17th. So many people are signing up. So many people are registering. We just have a few slots left. If you want to find out more, simply go to the link in the description, click on it to get all the details of what we're going to be doing. It's going to be an amazing event. The last one was great. This one's going to be even better. So just check this out. We'll be right back. Yes, that was the Audacity of Marriage live retreat. We're excited because this one coming up, we put a little spin on it, a little twist on it. We do have a couple of people who are returning again because they had a great time, and then the rest are new. But listen, if you are moving forward, remember, you know that this is included in your membership. If you are not, it's just $297. It's going to be an incredible experience. And if you want to know what is the impact, like, it's great that we can come to these things. What is the impact? We always like sharing testimonials, and we're gonna go back to the beginning, some of the older testimonials, just to remind you of what's possible. So check this out in just a second.
My name is Sarah, and we're from Washington, D.C.
My name is Lerone. We're from Washington, D.C., like my wife said.
We came here to try to find ways to stop arguing and just resolve and move on from things that have happened in our past and keep haunting us and keep coming up. Every fight, small, big, the same issues keep coming up. And we were on a vicious cycle and just about ready to throw in the towel.
I mean, for sure. Literally, I think the day that I had, decided to come to Couples Academy, or at least introduce the idea, I had met with a divorce attorney, My foot was out the door, man. I was ready to go. I was done, literally. We've been together for 15 years. Most of it has been beautiful, but I think over the course of that time, we never really had the tools to sort of address some of the issues. And some of those issues really just bubbled up and reached a boiling point. I was looking to get a divorce, but I realized that I'd never really actually tried. We never actually tried to, in a systematic way, sort of talk about some of the issues that we had, and we never really developed a framework to address them. So I'm gonna tell you right now, man, if there's somebody out there that's struggling with their marriage, and I don't want to like cry, but I this experience today definitely gave us some life-changing tools. Right before we sat on this table, we sort of just went over this exercise that really just, I'm not trying to cut you, babe, or just take over, but we went over this exercise that really just gave us something that kind of embarrasses me, you know, provided us with an amazing tool that teaches us how to resolve problems.
And it's beyond, it's simple, it's easy, it's, you know, if you're struggling with things that are constantly coming up and you think that they're never going to go away because he doesn't understand or he doesn't listen or he doesn't take this seriously and I'm the only one, and you know, and it makes you sad in your marriage that you're just constantly going through these issues that are very big for you. We've learned here that that can be fixed, that there are ways to get beyond those issues, that you can, you know, really resolve them in a way that you're not doing it alone in a silo. You're doing it with your partner and effectively and with respect and with honor and listening. And it's not hokey pokey.
Yeah, I mean, you don't.
It's not fake. It's not in the moment. It's not for the minute that we're talking, and then we're gonna go back and do what we, you know, whatever we want. It's legit, committed, negotiating of the issues and really working through them so that you have a resolution that you both love, and that you can both move forward with. And there's flexibility in that itself, because you're talking about the resolutions, but you're also giving yourself space to come back to the table and make some tweaks and make some changes if it's not working. You know?
I mean, I can't wait to go home and try these tools. I just can't wait, you know.
Couples Academy has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, my life has been changed from this experience, man. You know what I mean? I know that we'll be together, and that means everything. But again, I think the most important thing is I have the tools now. In such a short period of time. I had some doubts, like legit. I had some doubts, but those doubts are gone. And so if you have any struggles, any challenges, this will be a life-changing experience for you. So he's
I just love the way that video ends, because you can see the genuine love that they have for each other, and how, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, it was great, we had a great time. But when they talk about what they gained, the experience they went through, what it did for them individually, the personal transformation, the insight, the aha moment that they got, you know, being married for several years, you get caught up in just thinking the way that you think, perceiving the way that you perceive. But when you can have conversations, comprehensive breakthrough conversations, where you gain insight that you didn't have before, because you're willing to listen. And that's the one thing about the intensive. It gets you away from the distraction. It gets you away from your normal environment, so that you can have a more focused, intentional effort to engage in conversation that is transformational. And then when you gain those tools, it makes a significant difference for your life and for your marriage. I'm getting texts, literally, people asking about the next intensive. July is packed. We're booked. The next available intensive would be in August. So if you're interested, if that's something that you want to do, I encourage you to reach out to us. The summer is a very, very busy month where we serve a lot of people. So unless you are able to do midweek, every single weekend for the month of July is booked, and we're now taking spots and reservations for August. All right, guys, we're going to jump in into today's topic. We're talking about infidelity myths and facts, and we want to take our time with this to give you what you need. So number one of the myths about infidelity is affairs happen in unhappy or unloving marriages. Now, while it is true that the more vulnerable your relationship is, it is more susceptible to an affair, to cheating, to some type of crisis. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We know that there are several couples who are in what would be considered happy marriages, normal marriages. Things are going well. They're connecting, they're engaging, spending quality time, going on vacations, doing life together, and yet still something happens. And so whether there is love or whether there is no love, that is not necessarily an indication that something can or will not happen. And so, but I want to talk about this whole love thing. We've talked about this before. We've done a 14-part series on love and marriage and what that actually looks like. And I think that people often think, can you love your spouse and still cheat? That's the question. Some would say yes, some would say no. I would say, well, what type of love are you actually talking about? Because we've said this before, you have eros, you have phileo, and you have agape. I would say that, eros love is the romantic love, the sensual love, and it's reserved for those within the context of marriage, of course. Is it possible for you to have the in-love feeling and be in love with your partner and still cheat? I would say yes, because it is about it's about crossing a bridge or crossing a barrier or moving in a direction where a barrier has never been established. And so maybe your perception or concept of love is one thing. Like if it's just about an emotion, right? An erotic, romantic, sensual type of love I have for my partner, well, why can't I have that same feeling for other people? Remember, we are feeling oriented people, and we should not allow feelings to govern, to dictate, to control our decisions. So can I feel one way for you and feel one way for someone else, if that's what we're defining love to be? Absolutely. If we look at phileo love is an emotional bond in a deep friendship, right? It's sharing common interests and a bond. Can you have an emotional bond where you share interests with a spouse and yet still cheat with another? Absolutely. We see it all the time. But then the question becomes, if we truly have agape love, is it possible to cheat? Now, there are many things that we know agape love is and isn't, but a few stand out. Number one, it says that love is not self-seeking. We know that the nature of an affair is all about selfishness. It's about fulfilling my needs and giving me what I want. I'm thinking less about you and more about me. But if love is not self-seeking, right? But love is about serving others, then I can't demonstrate an act of love for you and still cheat. Cheating is not an act of love. So I'm focusing on myself. It also says that love does not delight in evil. Now, an affair, an inappropriate relationship, cheating would be an example. It is an outward expression of an evil or wrong deed. So if I'm doing that, I'm not loving you as my spouse. You see? So I think it's critically important to understand the difference. It says that love always protects. So if I'm protecting the sanctity of my marriage and my relationship, I'm protecting our future, I'm protecting our finances, I'm protecting our family, I'm protecting our reputation. I can't cheat and still do that. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's important that if we talk about love, we've got to have a comprehensive understanding of what it is and walk it out in our daily lives. Because if I truly love you in an agape way, in addition to eros and phileo, then it secures and protects the relationship and keeps affairs from happening. But if we don't have the agape type of love, yes, it is possible to cheat, though you still love your spouse. It's possible to cheat, though you are in what is considered a good or happy relationship. All right, we're talking about myths and facts about why people cheat. We want to hear from you on the other side of this break. We'll be right back in just a second. Couples Academy is expanding its team to meet the growing demand of people in need of help around the world. So if you're a trained, licensed, or certified expert in marriage enrichment, infidelity recovery, sex therapy, life coaching, cognitive behavioral therapy, divorce mediation, financial coaching, or family therapy, contact us today. All right, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. Glad to have you all with us. So to Brandon, to Fashawn, to Mr. Dispatcher, DC, Kat, Candor, Zachary, Torre, LaShawn, Jessica, Ralph, Gorgeous Wells, Toots, all of you, Monica, Jaguar, Carol, we're glad to have you with us here this morning. We're talking about the facts in the midst of affairs, why people do the things that they do. We want to hear from you. What are the myths that you've heard that simply aren't true when it comes to an affair? But as we're hearing from you, we want you to weigh in. We're going to go to the next point, and this is a powerful one. Affairs occur mostly because of sexual attraction. Now, if you haven't gotten this book, I would highly recommend you get it. It's called Not Just Friends, okay? Rebuilding Trust and Recovering Your Sanity After Infidelity. Powerful, powerful teaching tool. One of the thickest books on affair recovery. This thing is 400 plus pages, but I tell you, it's like an encyclopedia. It tells you everything you need to know. But it says in here, the fact to that myth is this: the lure of an affair is how the unfaithful partner is mirrored back through the adoring eyes of the new love. Hear that. So it wasn't necessarily the sexual attraction or drive, the lust, this insatiable desire that caused me to venture out. No, it was the way that I saw myself through the eyes of another person. I think that that's powerful because oftentimes we hear people say, you know what, my spouse just doesn't see me. They don't see me for who I am. They see me for the role that I play. They see me for my duties and responsibilities, but they don't see me for me. Listen, a powerful, powerful movie is The Marriage Story. It was, I think, #1 in 2020 on Netflix. And there was a powerful statement in that movie where she said, he didn't see me as separate from himself. And I find this to be true. You don't see me, you see me as your wife, right? Not as a woman. You see me as the cook. You see me as the maid. You see me as the caretaker of the children, but you don't see me for me. We have many men who say the same thing. You don't see me for me anymore. You see me as your husband. You see me for your paycheck. You see me for the provision I bring to the household. You see me for the things that I need to do around the house. You see me as the one responsible for taking care of all of, not just your needs, but your wants. That's who I become. I become swallowed up in your version of who I'm supposed to be for you. And I've lost that look. I've lost that image that you once had. And so I think what happens is, in an affair where there is no responsibility, in an affair where there are no shared decisions that have to be made, there's no high expectation, I'm able to see a person for just them. And that's attractive, and that's what draws a person in. And so this is why it's so critically important that you develop your partnership, but also your companionship. Partnership is how you show up in the marriage, the things you have to do, the functions, the duties, the responsibilities. But the companionship is the connection you have with the person, not just the role, the title, and the position. And I think that many of us get married assuming that our wives are there to serve us, or our husbands are there to meet our every need and to perform and to do for us. And we've lost the connection. And when that connection is lost, it's easier to begin to connect with other people where you don't have all these duties, responsibilities, and expectations. All you have is the connection that you once had with your partner. And that's why we say that the language of seduction is nothing more than the language of attraction that you initially had with your partner. But because you stopped speaking that language and everything became about role, function, duty, responsibility, something was lost in that process. There was an emotional disconnect. And so there's a phenomenal book that talks about the importance of, I keep dropping books. I mean, listen, I read a lot of books, folks. I'm not even going to give you the title of that book, but the point is, take the time to connect relationally and see your partner for who they are, because if you don't, you can lose what's in front of your very eyes. But these are the reasons why people do what they do. Zachary says, that once a cheater, always a cheater, and that the cheater will always be searching for the high or thrill of cheating. Yes, that's what Zachary said in terms of why people do what they do. And we're going to talk about that once a cheater, always a cheater myth, because I would say that that is absolutely not true. If that were true, we wouldn't be doing what we do here at Couples Academy. Kat says, not in the case of someone who has a sexual addiction, the cheater just doesn't care about the spouse. Yeah, that's a myth too. We know that for many people, they absolutely care about the spouse. And this is what we were talking about, that phileo love. It is an emotional bond. It is a caring love. It is something that you want. You care for the person's safety, their health. You care for the preservation of their life. You care for the lifestyle that you have with that person. You care for all these different things. But caring is not enough. Loving is not enough. Having an emotional feeling for your spouse is not enough. There's other things that have to be established in that relationship. Dare I say, government. When you have government in your home, hear what I'm saying, government in your home, it's comprised of laws. Laws are there for the safety and protection of its citizens. If you have no laws, you have lawlessness. If you have lawlessness, you have anarchy. If you have anarchy, it means that anything goes. So if there are no parameters, no guidelines, no rules by which we function in this relationship, then infidelity can become a reality. Listen, guys, I hope you're getting something out of this. We got one more segment to go. Stay right tuned. Stay right tuned. Did that mean stay right here? Stay tuned for us to come back. We're talking about infidelity myths and facts. Hey guys, we're back. Carol, great point. Carol says, I lied to you to protect you. Now that's interesting, because that statement reminds me of the classic movie. I don't know if you remember this, but Baby Boy, way back in the day. Remember Tyrese Gibson and Taraji P. Henson? They were in a relationship, and this dude his name was Jody. He kept cheating on her. And then I remember they got into that argument. He was, they went to Fat Burger to get some food, and then they went home. And as they were going home and walking up the stairs to the apartment, and she was just like, you need to tell me the truth. And he was just like, because I love you, I don't tell you the truth. I lie to you because I love you. I tell all these other women out here the truth because I don't care about their feelings. And it's right in alignment with what you're saying. I'm going to lie to you to protect you from the truth. because the truth can be painful. Protect you from further hurt and pain. But what you're attempting to do, you're creating more problems ultimately in the relationship, because if I can't trust you, that's not protection. That is a temporary fix to solve a need within you, but it doesn't restore the relationship at all. So you've got to stop lying, folks. Lying is not a form of protection, but that is something that we hear. Ralph says, I was the unfaithful. And yes, we can change, and we just have to find the feeling we used to have and help it grow with your spouse and loved ones. Yes, yeah. And so I agree, to get that feeling back is a good thing. But fidelity isn't solely based upon a feeling that you have to have. Fidelity is based upon a principle. And when you operate in principle-centered living, it keeps you from doing what you should not do. The feeling is something different. Now, to your point, I'm just picking apart what you said because I love you. You will never find the feeling. If you're sitting around looking for the feeling, it's not going to knock on your door. It's not going to ring your bell. If you start searching for the feeling, where's that feeling at? You're not going to find it. Here's the deal. You have to do something to create the feeling. You have to create the right environment that is conducive for that feeling to begin to come back. One of the things that you also have to do is address all of the hurt feelings, the things that have you in this space, right? We talk about this all the time. You can't just do the right thing. You have to no longer do the wrong thing, because the wrong thing helps to reinforce the feeling that we don't want. So when we're no longer doing the wrong thing, that negative feeling goes away. And then when we start doing the right thing, that positive feeling begins to come back. So it's something we have to do continually, right? It's a focus on no longer doing the wrong thing. It's a focus on doing the right thing. And when you're doing it long enough, and when you're consistent in that space, all of a sudden that feeling begins to come. And if we're committed to that process, we will see it. Matthew says, it's not the affair, it's what happens after. That's a great, I don't know what you mean by that, but what I will say is, the success of your relationship or the failure of your relationship is not solely due to an affair, but it's what's done after. We say that the majority of divorces do take place because of a refusal to do the necessary work after, a refusal to be transparent, a refusal to improve one's communication, a refusal to be committed to a growth process that will lead to your personal transformation, a refusal to really implode the relationship and build a healthy foundation for something completely new. People remain the same, and doing the same thing gets you the same thing. And as a result, one spouse gets to the point where they say, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. I've been dealing with it before an affair. Now the affair made things worse. Now I'm hypersensitive to everything that's going wrong. There's no motivation in you to change. All you do is become defensive. You shut down. We can't talk. It's just, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's what leads to the divorce. And that's why we have to be careful about, is this what we really want? We want our marriage, but we really don't want a new relationship within the marriage, and that often causes the problem. All right, let's go to another point in terms of myths about infidelity. Here's another one. A cheating partner always leaves clues. Now, what happens with this thinking is, if a cheating partner always leaves clues, and somehow he or she was able to do this without me knowing what was going on, self-blame begins to take place. Now I begin to doubt myself, question myself. How is it? I thought I was sharp. I thought I was on my P's and Q's. I thought I knew what was going on. And now I begin to turn the spotlight on me to see what was wrong with me. Now, while it can be true that some people stick their head in the sand and ignore everything and don't use basic common sense, the reality is some people really know how to successfully cheat. Don't you know that there are books, there are forums, there are videos, there are classes on how to effectively cheat and get away with it? And if you know just what to do, you know how to use the power of technology, you know how to operate in stealth and secrecy in a clandestine way, you know how to compartmentalize what you're doing, you know how to live two separate lives, you can get away with it. Some people have been trained and coached and acculturated. Their lifestyle has been drenched, soaked, and saturated on what you do. We see the stories all the time about how how a person can have a spouse and children, but then 5 miles down the road have a completely different family. And so we see this all the time because some people are professionals at what they do. They're not novice. They're not beginners. They have understood what it took because they've been doing it for quite some time, as opposed to the person who doesn't really do it and they're sloppy and their stuff is on Front Street. So I don't want you thinking that affairs always leave clues. They do not always leave clues. And that's why a large percentage of affairs are undetected. Happens all the time. In fact, people often find out about an affair once the affair has has come to an end, for a number of different reasons, but it's not always because they leave clues. All right. Another myth is a person having an affair shows less interest in sex at home. Now, here's the interesting part. This is the last point we're going to make. That's not always the case. People don't cheat simply because their spouse stopped having sex with them. Interestingly enough, the person who's cheating can be the one who provides less sex. When the sex begins to dwindle on the affair partner side, that can be an indication that there is an affair. We see it all the time. And so we want to unpack these myths. This is just part one. We got 3 more parts coming up. We want you to continue to tune in. I see your questions. We're going to address these questions tomorrow. We've reached our time. Guys, we hope you got something out of today's show. We will see you tomorrow for part 2 of Infidelity Myths and Facts. Love you guys.